I rarely share something as personal as this, but if being transparent saves even one life, it's worth it. On Tuesday, January 10th, 2017, at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I was officially diagnosed with major depression disorder. But I already knew. I'm pretty smart. Like, ask for books for Christmas smart, read my textbooks for fun. And I'm not wearing them right now, but I even wear glasses, so I look smart. But back in May of 2016, my grandfather died. And with all my smartness, I couldn't quite grasp what had happened. I was confused. I just didn't know what happened. It was like coming home and finding that someone had broken into your house, but they didn't steal anything. They just rearranged your furniture. Or sitting around and you look down and the whole bottom half of your body is gone. It's like, what's going on? How could someone so important exist today and then just not exist? Me being a psych major and all, I knew it was grief. And this may sound crazy or impossible, but I could tell from one moment to the next when grief shifted into mild depression. And I said to those around me, hey, I'm depressed. It's mild, but it's there. And my family was there. We called and texted and leaned on each other, but that didn't help me. I had the usual signs. I couldn't eat or sleep, and then 6 days turned into 6 weeks, and 6 weeks into 6 months. And just like before, I felt the shift from mild depression to moderate. I had the usual signs. I couldn't eat or sleep, and then 6 days turned into 6 weeks, and 6 weeks turned into 6 months, and well, it kind of felt like my insides melted. That's gross, but it's true. Some more sucky things happened in my life, and just like before, I felt that shift from 1 minute to the next. Mild depression became moderate with a hint of anxiety. And I said to myself, this has gotten worse. At this point, I could eat because, let's be honest, food is delicious. But I couldn't sleep, and it took everything I had just to get out of bed in the morning. Basic human interactions drained me, and I stopped living. I just existed instead. I have a tiny human, Eden Treasure, and I knew I couldn't just not live, so I maintained existence. I tickled Eden and made her tons of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, which brings her such joy, but I was still depressed. I read books and put motivating posters all over the place and tried to motivate myself. Emphasis on tried. I did it for like half a day and barely at that. And I never looked at those posters again. 6 months turned into 9 months, and once again, like a gust of wind that I knew was coming, moderate depression became severe. After only a few days of being severely depressed, I just knew I had to get help because it was more than just mental or emotional pain. It became physical. Food didn't taste good anymore. I couldn't sleep most days, and on other days, I would take these strange naps where I would sleep for 4 and 5 hours and wake up, eat, feed Eden, go back to sleep, and wake up and do it all over again. Thank God, besides having to wear a tutu every day, Eden is pretty low maintenance. Otherwise, she might not have survived. It hurt just to get out of the bed in the morning. It was physically painful to talk to people. I cry myself to sleep every night. I cried while I was sleeping. I cried in the morning in the shower because I didn't want Eden to know. But I couldn't even pretend to be okay. After almost practically crying myself into a coma, one night I said, I'm not going to cry anymore. And that was a terrible idea. When I was crying, at least I felt something. I woke up and I felt nothing. Literally nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. No sadness, no joy, no anger, nothing. I looked at Eden and I knew I loved her because, I mean, it's impossible not to. But I didn't feel anything. I didn't want to die, but I didn't want to live. I was in this in-between space that didn't exist. I knew I couldn't die because not only do I have this amazing tiny human, I also have a purpose and a calling on my life. And if I didn't know anything, I knew I did not want to stand in front of God and say that I didn't do what I was put here to do. I mean, he couldn't have possibly sent me here to smile at people for 26 years and just leave. Life was a gift, and life was a gift given to me, and I didn't want to throw it away, but I was taking it for granted. At the same time, I knew I couldn't live like this, so I got help. I went to see a doctor, and the nurse asked, why are you here? And I said, because I'm depressed. And she said, you don't look depressed. And just by looking at you, talking to you, I would have never guessed it. You just have such good energy. And I understand this, but I'm depressed. The doctor came in and she asked me, why are you here? And I said, because I'm depressed. And she said, you don't look depressed. And she probably didn't believe me, because people use I'm depressed to describe a bad day. And then I was evaluated. The results surprised her, but they didn't surprise me. I had said to my brother just that morning, I said, man, this is severe now, and I really need to get help. The only thing I wasn't was suicidal. I couldn't self-medicate because I would be a terrible alcoholic or drug addict. It just seems like a lot of work, and I have commitment issues. And I probably would have fell off the bandwagon and ended up worse than I was before. Plus, that's Band-Aid help. I wanted help for real. She prescribed something for anxiety and depression, and I wasn't 100% against medication. I just didn't feel good about that medication. And it was going to make me gain weight. And that's the opposite of the direction I wanted to be going. So she told me to follow up with a therapist and my primary physician. And they worked together to prescribe an antidepressant for me, for Miracle, that helped me. Boy, does it have some pretty good side effects. Energy and focus, weight loss, and it didn't even affect my sex drive. Sorry, Mom. And it reminded me that I wanted to live. For obvious reasons, those around me, they didn't want me to take the medication. And I was anti-medication. But I realized that I had to eat my own words. I had to take control of my life and stop allowing my life to control me. I had to be accountable for my thoughts, feelings, and emotions. I had to deal with it. Now, if I had come to this realization 9 months ago, I probably wouldn't have needed the medication. But I allowed it to spiral out of control. This didn't happen overnight, and you don't choose mental illness. It's not an elective. It's not made up. It's very real. Depression is real. but it didn't have the power to take over my life unless I let it. I had to do something. I didn't choose this, but I did have choices. I went to Walmart and I filled my prescription, and like, you can literally get everything from Walmart. I mean, Sanity only cost me $17 and some change. But I took it home and sat with it on my bed for a little while. I read the pamphlet, and then I just said, here goes. And I took the meds. And it helped. Medication is not the treatment for everyone. Before a month ago, it wasn't even the treatment for me. But I needed help. And that was what help was for me. Depression is so real. Depression sucks. Depression can be overcome. It can happen to anyone, and it can look like anything. Just think about Robin Williams. Depression doesn't care about race or gender or social status or any of that other stuff. Depression can, and it will take you out if you let it. Get help from a licensed professional, not your Uncle Fred or your Aunt Tootsie, but an actual professional. Help is good. Help can save you from just existing. Help can allow you to live again. I know now that I have to pay attention to myself so that I don't get to this place again. And in order to fight depression, in order to beat depression, I had to get help. It's a fight, but I think I'm winning.